Hey there, it's Joyce, and in today's Money Minute, we're going to talk about merchant service accounts, the differences between them, the types that you can have, and which one might be best for you and your business. Okay, so this topic might go a little bit longer than we normally do, but the general gist of merchant service accounts, first you have to understand how the credit card system works, and there are pretty much four moving parts to each credit card transaction. First of all, there is the customer's bank or credit card company, and then number two, there is the gateway. Then number three is the actual merchant services, which is like the Visa or the MasterCard network. And then number four is the service provider's bank. So those are the four moving parts. And the reason why I say that sometimes there are three parts is because sometimes number two and number three, the gateway and the merchant services, can be done by one company. So that brings me to the next point, the types of merchant service providers. In my opinion, they fall into three broad categories. What I like to call the pseudo merchant services, your traditional merchant services, and then virtual merchant services. The traditional merchant service providers tend to follow the four-part process, and it includes both a clearinghouse and a merchant conduit. Examples of a clearinghouse would be Authorize.net or VeriSign. Examples of your merchant service conduits would be merchant service providers like Heartland Merchant Services and PowerPay, to name just a few. In this scenario, you need both to process credit card and debit card payments. Now, with merchant service providers, I'm sorry, I skipped one. The pseudo merchant service providers would include those that basically allow you to invoice a customer or a client, and then they send you funds using their credit card or debit card. Examples of this would be PayPal. Now, a virtual merchant service provider combines number two and number three in the four-part process, making it a three-part process. And remember, those two, number two and number three, is the gateway part and the merchant network part. So in this process, what would happen is that number one would be your customer, number two would be the combined gateway and network, and then number three would be your bank. So a lot of times, what I have found with the virtual service merchant service providers is that depending on the type of company that you have, that they can be just as easy to use and maybe even better on your wallet, because they typically skip that monthly service fee, and but their transaction fee might be slightly higher, but you still get to skip that monthly service fee. So examples of a virtual merchant service provider would include WePay, Stripe, and Square, to name a few. Now, after naming all these different service providers, please know that I'm not advocating a particular way to do things. It really depends on your your company, the types of services that you provide, and don't forget to check out the terms of service for each one of these levels of service. So I'm not really advocating any particular group or service provider in particular, but just know that I've used one or more at different points in my business. So I know that they do work, and that that it just depends on where you are in your business and the types of services that you provide. What will work for you will depend pretty much on your business model. So if you have questions about these different merchant service alternatives, please pop them in the comment section at thecommonsense.com. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, please subscribe to my channel. If you are not on my email list, then pop on over to thecommonsense.com/2cents, that's TWOCENTS, and get on the email list. If you have questions that you would like to have answered live, I do have a weekly Q&A webinar party that I do every Wednesday at 3 p.m. At 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can get on that RSVP VIP list by going to thecommonsense.com/BTN. All right, so that's it for now, and I'll see you next week.